Will, hopefully you're having an amazing day today. We're tuning in here from Kauai as we're getting started on the day. We just wrapped up our live session bright and early, 3:30 a.m. And we were trading the semiconductor market. And we're also in a trade here with Tesla. So wanted to give you guys an update as well as cover some of the movements we see in the market this morning. One of the movements that I'm going to be watching very closely is how the market reacts to some of this news in semiconductors. We can touch on, the China move. You could look at this Nvidia move here, where essentially Nvidia was, banned to export their chips to China. That's a big thing that's happening. You've had that happen really for a couple years now. And then you had Jensen still go meet with the Chinese this past week. So you see Broadcom, you see AMD, you see Qualcomm, a lot of the companies that are in semiconductors recently starting to take a little bit of a hit here. Now, Nvidia is most likely still going to be able to deal, and while it's 13% of their yearly revenue is going towards or accounted for from China, 17 billion, that billions of dollars there, guys, is exactly why he went to go meet with China, but also exactly why most likely Jensen is pledging to build in the US a supply chain of $500 billion. You can see that is a pledge there, $500 billion to build in the US. So moving forward here, you got some movements there. And what happened? Well, a couple things. The first thing that happened was this SOXL. You can see this movement here. SOXL is going to be the bull market for semiconductors. And essentially, we see the market selling off. You guys hear me and see me okay? I want to make sure everybody's good. So you see the market selling off in semiconductors. The reason why that's crazy and why that's important is because why? Well, when that happens, you see this downward momentum. A lot of times, well, always, if the semiconductor goes down, then SOXS goes up. So again, this is the bear. So we saw this one go up 10% today. We ended up selling it this morning for a profit in our live session. And the first thing that I was looking at when trading the semiconductor market was the biggest stock market recovery since 2020. So it looks bearish here because this is the inverse. So when the market shot up, this went down, obviously. But before that, before this happened, right when the trade war started, we traded SOXS and we took advantage of this swing right here. See this swing right here? And that move was essentially about 100% increase. We got to capitalize on about 45% of it. So that happened. Then we were patiently waiting. We see this big sell-off, and we actually traded the SOXL during this move when the semiconductor market did recover. We ended up trading this move for 43% on the other side. So isn't that crazy? So it was bullish, and now you can see today this sell-off continues in the semiconductor market. So again, that's kind of what we were watching today. That's why we were able to make money and why we were able to trade SOXS and why it's up about 10% today. So I want to give you guys a breakdown on that. KULR is the other one. We talked about it yesterday. Really, really skeptical, really looking like an overall downtrend at this moment, because take a look at the overall direction with KULR. It is in this downtrend right now, and if you just kind of take a look at this trend right now, it's at this resistance and it's not breaking out. It's getting rejected, and the next level does not look good. So it is not a good time to be looking at KULR stock bullish right now, at least in its current state. It was maybe starting to bounce, maybe starting to recover, but that overall trend right now not looking too hot for KULR. So it's down 7% today, and it's honestly not helping that they're coming out with news. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they think, oh, it's going to be better for us. But they come out with news about something like, take a look at take a look at what they came out with recently. They dropped this news that says robotics are what we're doing, and they're doing robotics now. And then my question is, okay, if you're doing robotics and you're doing batteries and you're doing Bitcoin and you're doing AI and software, and then, I got to ask the question like, okay, how many employees do you have? Right? That's the next question. So then we look at it. And then we see 52 employees, and I got to say, yo, what's going on? 52 employees, but you got like 5 departments that look like each requires 50 employees minimum. So that's my question with KULR. I think they're spreading themselves too thin, and that's why I think they're selling off. They came out with two, like all in this year. They came out with the Bitcoin reserve. They come out with the robotics. They're coming out with like all these little things, and not to mention, I gotta bring it up because I read the whole report, and there were some parts that I didn't really like, I'm gonna be honest, but there was some. It's called like the Grizzly Report on KULR, and one of our subscribers actually sent it. You guys drop the best stuff. C. Wilson says, "Hey Will, hey, what's up? Good morning. Hopefully you're having a great day or good afternoon, depending where you're at." Yeah, you didn't understand the robotics collaboration? Me either. And when you take a look at KULR, I had a subscriber, obviously it's bearish. They oftentimes point out the bears. It's probably why they're called the Grizzly Research. But nevertheless, you can take a look at what they did this. I wouldn't call it necessarily a hit piece because it was actually true. A hit piece would be looking at BBAI and seeing this news from all these lawsuits, filing lawsuits against Big Bear AI. Those are hit pieces that are based on simple reporting errors that is not actual fraud, but that the company is just seeing the law groups come in to try and sue, and they're not even putting any money down. They're just telling investors, come on. Am I muted? I shouldn't be muted. Should be able to hear me fine. And they're just telling investors that it's a bear case and it's going down. But Big Bear AI, I see the technology firsthand, so I literally know that the contracts are legit. They're getting really nice revenues, and that they are in a good position, and that these lawsuits are simply hit pieces. However, when you look at KULR stock, take a look at the company, and then you see this article from Grizzly, it is not a hit piece. In fact, here's what I'm seeing. I'm actually seeing some legit research, and here's what they say. The most recent earnings presented as a record revenue year and quarter, which we can look at. You can see the most recent earnings. You see it looks like they have a 11% year over year income, 44% revenue increase year over year. And then the Grizzly says, are hiding disastrous quarter marked by declining sales in products and services. The results were inflated by pulling forward millions of dollars in revenue from recent licensing agreements, even though the payments will be made over the next 3 to 5 years. The biggest one, which allowed the company to pull forward $1.6 million, was signed 2 days before the end of the year in 2024 and won't see full payment until December 2029. So in other words, KULR stock decided to take their revenues from the future and include them in their earnings in a way that was kind of shady. So that's not looking too hot. And I actually dove deep, and that's legit. We covered multiple occasions, is what they say, where KULR's management projected enormous revenue opportunities and goals, sometimes suggesting a 100x revenue increase after a few years, only for the actual results to fall short. In reality, KULR has consistently, quote unquote, missed all its projections by at least 50%. That is quite the claim. And so when we're looking at this, the other thing they say, management touted deals like a 500 megawatt hour battery supply from a tier one manufacturer claiming hundreds of millions in potential revenue, yet 2.5 years later, there's very little concrete evidence that these partnerships delivering meaningful financial returns. So, like, what we're seeing here is not really a congruence with their company's marketing versus what they're actually getting. So that's why I wanted to cover. Again, here's another one. They say in 2024, the total amounts for awards and sub awards publicly available on government databases were only 97,000 and 1 million, respectively, with a combined total of 3.3 million. Specifically for NASA, publicly available data reveal a mere total of 1.7 in awards since the first award was granted. So while the company frequently cites major DoD and NASA collaborations, these government contracts appear sporadic and relatively modest, contradicting the lofty revenue forecasts the management shares in public statements. So it's a Bear article. They do have a lot of language and images that they use on their site that we've pointed out, that we've said in the past that we're not too fond of. In fact, just the other day, they put this graphic logo of their brand onto their robotics article. I don't know if you guys saw the recent video that we did, but essentially in this video, they're showing this tech from a German company, and then they put their logo here, and it's a digital graphic logo that they photoshopped onto the image video that's not actually on the robot. That's just a little weird. And then they have this really weird part where they like put this video in, and then they put this like stock exploding thing. This is what a penny stock would do. Look at that. Boom, with fireworks and the American flag in their video. Like, okay, look. Okay. If you don't want to be considered a penny stock, then you have to not behave like a penny stock. If I don't want to be considered a hype channel on YouTube about stocks, this is the next generational investment for you this week, it's going to change your life. Or I tell you stuff like, if you invest in this stock, tomorrow you could be a billionaire. Or this is the next 1000x play. Whatever it is that all the YouTubers say online and all that stuff, the hype articles, I could easily act that way. But instead, what do? We go through the charts. We go through the financials. We go through the news. We look at the market growth. We look at the projected market growth and the current usage and actual revenues. We look at the potential strategy of the companies, as well as the actual moves that are playing out from institutional investors, and we really dive into the actual value. Now, with KULR, I'm afraid to say what I've seen recently hasn't been aligned with that of a stock that I would cover, that would still be holding its intrinsic value. So that's why I got to cover here and let you guys know what's going on. So that's what's up with KULR. And then the other one that we wanted to take a quick look at that we have been covering quite extensively is Big Bear. And we just kind of covered a video. So if you want the full in-depth analysis, definitely drop below, and make sure to, check that video out, because that video that we just did, we go into Big Bear AI deeper, but essentially Big Bear AI has legit intrinsic value. And I'm not saying this entire move is going to happen, because it actually still needs to break above this $2.50 range. But I do like the developments happening with Big Bear. Despite some of this downward momentum here, there is an overall market cap build that we've seen happen with the company. And I like to see the actual tech being used, as I've seen it firsthand. So Big Bear AI, with the recent move here, to me, if they've just sold down about 6% today with the rest of the market, so nothing there that's insane. But at the same time, if they're going to be a defense company, you could imagine they could stand to benefit as a result of being in the defense sector as of now in 2025. Especially if you had to ask what would be one of the best companies to build as far as getting consistent growth through economic uncertainty, you'd probably say a defense company that specializes in AI and cybersecurity that services the largest volume of people in the world. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're at airports and they're servicing large amounts of volume. So those are some of the ones that I would imagine if we're going to see any growth from Big Bear AI in terms of contracts, it's going to be down the airport route. We see them with TSA, we see them with the Pentagon, we also see them with um, BlackRock investments and Charles Schwab and a lot of the bigger institutions starting to catch on to the company. And they're not even really close to $1 billion market cap. They're pretty small still. But nevertheless, they just announced they're reporting earnings on the 1st of May. So look forward to that. And if you guys aren't familiar, for those of you guys that don't know, Big Bear AI is a leading provider of AI-powered decision intelligence solutions and services for national security, defense, travel, trade, and enterprise. And they're headquartered in Virginia there. Their CEO used to be a Secretary of Defense, acting Secretary of Defense, and they're in the industry of surveying everybody. That's it. Surveying everybody. Surveillancing everybody. Is that even a word? Tracking everybody from profiles. It's kind of crazy. It's actually, like, I joke, but literally they could change their name to Big Brother. And there would be like no eyes blinking. They'd be like, okay, yeah, that is Big Brother. Because they track, you get your face scanned at the airport and things like that. So I could see them as a big player there. So again, all the markets having some volatility. What do you do in the markets like this? We just went over it. We trade the down plays, and that's what we'll be potentially doing here in the market conditions we have now. We add an average down and continue to add to our longer positions, and then in the near term, in the shorter term trading, we trade with the smaller portion of our account in the stocks that surge when the markets go down, like SOXS, for example, going up 10% today. It's one of the trades we're looking at, and we just sold this morning for a profit. Had a limit order scheduled just about 5 minutes after market open. So we go live, we went live, and when we were done trading it, we basically sold for a profit, and then we got into TSLL. Now TSLL is still down, and you can see we got in around 11% or it was already 11% dipped down, and then we bought the dip, but we're still in it right now, and it's continued down a little bit further. So you see it's at 14%. But we started the day with a profit selling SOXS, and we've been able to grow our account consistently even in the down market. So I'm okay with it. It's what it is. It's not massive growth as it is with a bear market, and I want to tell you guys all today, let's go. The bull market's here. But nevertheless, we're here to take advantage of the opportunities that are here in the near term. And for those of you guys that are on the fence about learning, if you're ever like struggling in this market, just know one of the best ways to feel good about it, determining overall direction, determine the direction, feel good about the trades and investing. And every time you want to do that, you're going to want to find opportunities that seem overreacted and play them in the opposite direction of where they just overreacted. And that's what we're doing as of now. So when it comes to today, I got some videos that I'm going to be doing later today, but also have a few consulting calls. We also are building our software, which I would love to show you guys. It's been up and running, the beta version, as we're starting to get things heated up. I'm so excited for it. I wish I could show you. I mean, I could probably do a quick little demo here, but I don't know. How many of you guys would that be okay? Do you want to see that? CMT. Someone says, can you look at CMT again? She's still slipping. Thanks. She? He? Hey? Who? Think you're talking about CTM stock, not CMT. And the she just makes me even more confused. But I believe you're talking about CTM here. Yeah, I mean, it's slipping, you know, but hey, it's holding trend to an extent, going outwards. I'm in it, trading it. They have really good contracts and revenue. Just made a full video on it. Take a look at some of their contracts here. You know, $100 million here, $100 million there. Naval contract there. I think it's going to show up in their next earnings. It's a longer term play for us right now. We like to trade it on the near term, but that's how it looks. Yeah. Someone says, are you watching Wolf at all? Let's check out Wolf stock. No, I'm not watching Wolf because it's pretty terrible financials. So no, I haven't watched it. I don't even know what it is. And I mean that with respect. What do you think about it? Semiconductors, okay? You could see 5 days, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 year. Wait, why would I be watching this stock? I'm not really sure. Okay, I would never watch that. Oh, well, maybe I would. We'll see what happens. Tell me why in the world I would ever watch it. Like, actually, tell me why I would watch it. Because those financials and that chart that I just pulled up, I don't even want to look at. That pump and dump. Okay, I don't know if it's pump and dump. All right, and if you're the CEO, I'm sorry. All my stocks are ladies. Oh, got it, Gregory. Okay. Even Lockheed Martin? I mean, that one, or Ronald McDonald stock? uh yeah, man. I mean, there's some moves that we've seen. I mean, look at the market, man. It's so red. I mean, that's why we're trading the inverse of the market. Because you can't really have overall upward direction in a bull market or in a bear market, excuse me. Like you just don't have the overall direction of up, and that's the type of trend you want to play. So what do? We short or we go to the other side and we trade it. So I mean, on the other hand, take a look at NVDQ, the inverse of Nvidia. My gosh, would you look at that? It's up. Look at that move on the inverse of Nvidia, up 45%. So if you ever want to short Nvidia, just head over to NVDQ. Make it happen there. That's funny. Any opinion on D-Wave? D-Wave is excellence at marketing. D-Wave has the most commercial application in the markets for quantum. They are building really a lot of infrastructure to be a good player in quantum, and they have a few contracts that put them into a consistent cash flow. For example, NASA is every year they get the contract with NASA and it just renews everything. I think it's 2 or 3 years and they get more money. So QBTS, I got to meet the CEO of the company and I like it. I did get a feeling about the marketing that it was so good that it's almost sometimes hard to see the hard financials when you have such good marketing. Does that make sense? Like you got such good marketing, you get distracted and you're like, maybe I don't want to, I don't know. You get what I mean? So That's one thing to consider. When it comes to the reality of QBTS, they're 1.7 billion dollar company. You have a cat named Nvidia and Palantir. That is so funny. Palantir for a cat name actually works. Like, I like that. Nvidia though, that's pretty long. I would, yeah. And NVDA, Nvidia. That's funny. But we could. So, um, so what we're talking about? Nvidia. No, D-Wave. Yeah. So for D-Wave, quantum computing company, got to meet the CEO. I liked the company, but at the same time, uh, after doing some research on the financials, you can see that their net income year over year has really gone down recently. Their revenue is down about 20% year over year when you look at the quarter. So you do see kind of a consistency around it, but the financials didn't look good. And that's where it's like they have really good marketing. I'd love to see it. Um, and long term, you see them working with Boeing, MasterCard, Ford, Audison, but I do see them as a riskier stock to buy. And if you were looking to capitalize on, for example, the AI boom, you would want to have a low diversification into some of the quantum companies as they are much more risky. It's kind of like buying semiconductor companies back in 2010. You would be, in a place where it's like, some will do well and be like Nvidia, some will not. And you buy uncertainty when you're in such a small emerging market. And the same thing is true, or the opposite is true if we're investing. Like, you're probably best to invest long term Nvidia or long term AMD stock. I really like AMD stock actually, and know that they already have a lot of infrastructure and they already are going to be making money in this market. So that's a good one. I got to meet some people at the conference in D-Wave, some subscribers of you guys. Thank you guys so much for going to that conference too, and I was happy to meet you guys. Got to meet some subscribers, multiple subscribers that watched the channel and followed specifically because of quantum computing, and that was really cool. David says, hello, any opinion on D-Wave? Yes, that was the opinion. Shaji says, Han F view and AG view, please. Yeah, let me know what it is that you're looking at and why you would want me to look at that stock. Gregory cites, I have a cat named Nvidia and Palantir. I love that. Johnny says, what up, family? Yo, what's up, Johnny? Hopefully you're having a great day today, man. Happy to have you here and happy to see you. And I think you were in our live session in Stockmate as well. Hey, we just got our like open D-Wave quantum financials here, just sitting. But yeah, that's an interesting one. TSLL is still barely holding above our stop right now. See how it holds. David says, CEO said they're expecting 10 million in revenue. Will it do any good when they're going to announce the quarter one? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, if they get that type of revenue, of course. Yeah. Yeah, that could be huge. I like, yeah, one shift in financials positively, and I'm so excited. It was like, but here's the thing, like when I started, how many of you guys like wish you knew Nvidia stock? I actually knew Nvidia stock years ago, and I started looking at it in 2015, and I was investing in it in 2020, like consistently. And when I was, one of the things that I looked at was like, okay, not a lot of people are talking about it, but they're supplying chips for Tesla at the time. And the first thing I looked at is in their revenues. Their revenues are increasing and their profit margins, they're not bad. And they were increasing. And I thought this could be a really valuable company. If they're supplying for Tesla and they're supplying for Apple at the time, the chips, right? Then they could be a really valuable company. And I looked at the revenue and it worked out. It paid off. We made a lot of money. But when we look at this return on D-Wave, I love the chips. I went to the marketing or the events. I went to the conference. I even got to meet the CEO and I went deep. But I'll tell you what, the reality is that the revenues there haven't been favorable yet. So I don't see it as like, oh, and the revenues look really good. This is about to blow. It doesn't feel that way 100% from the financial perspective, but from the news perspective and from the technology perspective and their marketing and how they have a narrative around their company, it does feel very good. But again, that's different than also looking at the revenues and actual usage in the market. So that's what I'm looking for with D-Wave. So, and that's something we're going to do. But guys, I appreciate you all. I'm going to head out. I really do want to let you guys know I appreciate the likes. If this video gets 100 likes, we'll go ahead and do a live session from Stockmate on YouTube for you guys to see. So you get one of our live sessions. And again, if you guys ever want to join us in our market live sessions, they're each day at Market Open. And it's the second link, or I think it's the first link actually. There's a special discount extended there. So we reopened a little bit there for the sale for Easter. If you want to take advantage of it, it closes tonight. It's that link right below. And you also get a free t-shirt sent to you if you want a free t-shirt as well, as it's included. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you all. See you guys.